The Locked On Podcast Network presents the College Sports Big 3 in 30. The three biggest stories in college sports. From our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The College Sports Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest story in college sports.
Houston's in the Final Four, got some Blue Devils in their way.
You are Locked On Cougs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars.
Duke this weekend. I got to be honest, I've watched a lot more Duke basketball in the last 4 or 5 days than I ever thought I would. Going into this, they are very talented. They are very good. And just because I know we're both Rockets fans, I certainly wouldn't kick a couple of their guys off the Rockets. But like you said, it's not always about having the best couple freshmen. The Fab Five did not win a national title, right? And so when you see this Duke team, because you do your own basketball, your own podcasting, all that kind of stuff, what do you see, Mike?
Talent. I mean, Cooper Flagg is sick. I mean, the guy just, there are certain guys that the game just slows down for, and Flagg's that guy. Like, Flagg is it. You look at him and you're like, okay, bar none, going to be the number one pick in the draft this upcoming year. You look at the kid from South Sudan, Kaman Malawak, who is a beast. I mean, that guy on the boards is a monster. Not super great offensively, but they don't need him to be. And then there's Swiss Army knife, this kid Knuppel, Khan Knuppel, which, I mean, it's about those three guys, right? Like, you come into this game and it's that triangle, right? And what's so funny to me, Parker, is like when you talk about even teams in the NBA or U of H, right? It's okay, if we stop this one guy, then we can win. I'm like, it's not always about that, because players like that will always get theirs. They're always going to average, Cryer's going to get somewhere between 12 to 20-ish points most nights. Where you lose is where you give up that like 8 to 10 points to a guy like Terrence Arsenault, right? Or if you let Sharp go for 24 while Cryer goes for 18 and Tugler gets 10 and Roberts pitches in with 16, it's that cascade of the older guys that just kills you. I love this matchup for U of H. I might be in the minority. I absolutely love it with everybody not named Cooper Flagg. I don't know what they're going to do with Flagg. To me, you double him. I think you've got not the whole game, but you have got to throw bodies at this guy. Not just because he's the bona fide number one pick, but it's just you got to throw him off his game. You got to throw him a couple wrinkles. U of H also does not have those types of guys, those big wing type of guys. You got Sharp, you got Malik Wilson, you got Uzan, you got Cry. Those are not big guys. Tugler's not quick enough to play with Flagg the whole game. Neither is Roberts, neither is Francis. So that's basically our entire arsenal that we have. So how are they going to play with Flagg is going to be the key to this game. But I think they've got more than enough. They're just going to play harder than Duke. I think U of H, that's how they win this game. Just play U of H basketball for 40 minutes. Nonstop, punch you in the mouth defense, hard fouls. When you get a shot at Flagg, respectfully, not in a negative, hit him to hurt him, but give him a nice foul. This is the Final Four. This is a chance to go to the championship. You play hard. And I'll tell you what, Sampson, if he's known for anything, he will get his guys to play hard.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Houston that this is the Final Four game, because you get the most days to prepare. Yep. And Sampson's going to have a handful of options defensively. I thought what they did against Purdue, where like they would just call a timeout and come out in a completely different cover. They go from Dublin TKR, and then they go high post on him, make him force baseline, and then a couple, didn't work. So a couple timeouts or a couple possessions later, call another timeout, media timeout, or whatever it was, and they go to something different, right? Like they had options they'd clearly practiced. I don't know what they're going to end up in against Cooper Flagg. I do think, like you're saying, they're going to double him out the gate. I almost feel like I'd probably leave Juwan on him and then double with speed to kind of counteract. So I have size and speed there, and peeling off of wherever you peel off for on all of that. I also wonder, Coach spent 2 months with Coach Popovich. Pop's thing was always like, hey, we're going to let your guy get 50. I'm going to make sure no one else scores, and you can't win. Like I don't know which option they go with there. I do think, though, that Samson having this many days, correct me if I'm wrong, I'd rather play them in the Final Four than the championship game because I get more time to prepare for them, right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, they're going to throw bodies at him. You're going to see a lot of these guys on him. You're going to see Tugler on him at some point. Yeah, I mean, you've got to, and it's so much easier said than done. Do they go with a box and one type of mentality? Like, okay, we're going to lock in on him. You are not going to beat us. And the thing is, you look at this Final Four. Sampson's been there before. John Shire has not been there as a head coach before. That is huge. You cannot say that enough. Like, Duke had to get on a plane, travel multiple hours to a different time zone to come play this game. U of H had to hop on a plane for about 7 minutes, and they get from Hobby to San Antonio. Their coach has been there before. He's got his whole family there. Sampson does. He's got his daughter, obviously, Lauren. He's got his kid, who's the associate head coach. You've got Quantus White, who's still with him, who's going to take the job, obviously, at Louisiana after this game. They play again, man. They played last year. U of H had that game, a shot at the end. This is a legacy game for Sampson. Like, I cannot say that enough. That everything. That's what scares me. Everything is lined up for them to win this thing, because whoever wins between U of H and Duke will beat Tennessee or Florida, or not Florida or Auburn. I don't care how good they are. Whoever wins this game will beat Auburn or Florida.
And the Auburn Florida thing, for folks that listen to a lot of college basketball stuff, if you're a locked on college basketball fan or whatever, like, there's a whole other set of things on there. Just like they played however many times this year, SEC, all that. I do kind of wish there wasn't a guaranteed SEC team in the championship game. That's neither here nor there. It's interesting in watching and looking back at and scorebook watching, trying to figure out what games to study on Duke, because their 3 immediately preceding games of this were Baylor, Arizona, Alabama, all teams Houston has played. And I would argue like Houston looked better against Arizona than Duke did. They both looked good against Baylor. Duke probably looked better against Alabama than Houston did, but that was before Thanksgiving, right? So I don't know how to gauge that. They've both played. They both played Kansas. They played Arizona. Duke played Arizona in the pre-conference part of the season as well. Both played Auburn. A lot of common opponents here. And consistently, the deal is that Duke's got this high-flying offense, number one offense in KenPom, and Houston's got this elite, wear you down defense, number one defense in KenPom. Do you think it comes down to that side of the floor, Mike, or the other side, where it's Houston's number 10 offense versus Duke's number 5 defense?
It's such a great question, dude, because we've both been around the game so long. I played, I coached. What I know for a fact, defense wins championships. And it's not to say you have to have the number one defense, but you have to have guys that will girls that will lock in on the defensive end and get stops when you need them. You can have all the scorers you want in the world. You can have all the talent you want in the world. But when it comes down to it, if U of H is up by 1 with 10 seconds left, you got to play defense, right? And on the other side, if you've got to get a bucket, you look at this U of H team. And are they going to blow the doors off and score 110 points a game? No, that's not them. But if you got to get a bucket, I've got multiple guys that I can go to. I got Uzan. I got Cryer. I think Terrence Arsenault showed me something in the Tennessee game too. He was big. Like a guy who's just been on the floor for most of the year who doesn't stand out. He stood out in that Tennessee game. Well, and in Tennessee, I would also point out, like, Houston had a decent lead, but when he came in, Jalen Roberts had just gotten a second foul pretty early. Huge. They were going to go small. And like that kind of felt like a time where Tennessee could take a chunk of the lead away. And Arsenal had 8 straight points to say, nah, we're not doing that. No. And like he has those kinds of flashes where like he is that good. And so it'd be interesting to see if he has another one of those kind of moments here. I pulled up on Basketball Reference. Houston is the slower paced team. Houston has had games, though, whether it's 72 against Arizona, 76 against Baylor. I'm trying to pull it up. Like they scored 81 against Gonzaga in the second round. Don't get me started about the fact that Gonzaga was a second round game. They scored in the 80s against Tech, Kansas State, BYU,
they get up there sometimes. Do you think this game's more likely to be close to 60 or close to 80?
Oh, it's going to be closer to 60 because I think that Samson is going to force this game into the 60s. He's not going to let Duke and their high-flying offense be high-flying. And when Juwan Roberts, the guy who has the most wins of any player in the history of the program. You've got LJ Cryer, who is going for trying to be the first guy to win a national title at multiple schools. Experience is going to be crucial in this game because the three guys we just talked about have not been there. Shire has been there as an assistant coach, I think twice, but he was not the main guy. This is their first time going through this. This is not Samson's first time. It's not his first time at the rodeo, if you will, right? And I think that this game is going to be in the 60s. I know U of H are dogs in this game. I think they're 4.5-point dogs. I love Houston outright in this game. I cannot talk about how U of H is not going to come into this game and get blown out. There's no way. I don't see a way because Samson won't let them. They may not win, but they're not going to get blown out. And if they're not going to get blown out, give me U of H's experience within that program to get this game to the finish line.
There's nothing like the energy of an MLS match, the chance, the atmosphere, the last minute goals. If you want to experience it all live, Gametime makes getting tickets easier than ever. With last minute deals, all in prices, and a low price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying MLS or any other tickets. Plus, ticket prices actually drop as kickoff gets closer, so you can score amazing seats at a great price. I just checked the Gametime app, and there are incredible deals for this weekend's match, cheaper than I expected. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime.
The Florida Gators are facing the Auburn Tigers tomorrow in the Final Four.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators.
The Florida Gators face the Auburn Tigers tomorrow at 6:09 Eastern Time, PM, of course. And it's going to be a battle, right? There's no other way to describe it. This is Auburn, the number 1 overall seed, as much as they shouldn't have been. This is Auburn, the number 1 team in the country for most of the year, against Florida, a team that actually won the SEC tournament, and also a 1 seed, and beat Auburn earlier this year. And look, we can take that game, Florida versus Auburn, the first time, and you can kind of throw it out the window, right? It was 2 months ago. Florida won by 9 in Auburn, but who's counting? Florida did not have Elijah Martin in that game. Florida did not have Micah Hanlogton in that game either. 2 guys that play valuable minutes for this team right now. And when we talk about how the Florida Gators can win this game and what they need to do to win this game, it starts with winning down low, right? And winning down low in this sense is the equivalent of winning in the trenches in football, right? You got a great O-line, great D-line. You can dominate the line of scrimmage, and even teams that are more finesse-y, 3-point shooting, you can still beat them that way. Like, you can get gritty, you can get dirty there. And Florida has been absolutely hammered in the paint since the start of the SEC tournament. This is the thing that we've talked about quite a bit on this show, both in terms of allowing points in the paint and allowing offensive rebounds, or more appropriately, not securing defensive rebounds, because it is, I know it's not as simple as that, but it kind of is as simple as that. Secure your defensive rebounds, and the other team can't get offensive rebounds. And Florida's done a horrible job of that since the start of the SEC tournament. I've said this multiple times. It's been a thing I keep complaining about. You can watch the film, and guess what? That backs it up. You can look at the numbers, which I've said many times, and that backs it up as well. Florida's offensive rebounding allowed rate has gotten about 5% worse since the start of the SEC tournament. Not exactly an ideal situation to be in, right? So Florida's been getting hammered there. You look at the Texas Tech game, and there was a stretch where Texas Tech just went, hey, Toppin, Williams, go ahead, post up. get into the paint and hammer him and just bully him there. Norfolk State had, I think it was 48 points in the paint against Florida. UConn had success in the paint against Florida. Florida's been getting hammered down low. And I've said before that perhaps it's because of Alex Condon's ankle is bothering him a little bit more than he's letting on, especially when you talk about the back-to-back games that you've got to play. The SEC tournament is 3 days in a row. March Madness, you're playing 2 games, and you're playing like a game every other day for the weekend, and then you've got those days off during the week. And maybe that's aggravating him a little bit more. But Florida needs to have the energy that they had against Maryland on the glass, because Maryland, there were long stretches of time where commentators were kind of just like, Maryland hasn't gotten a rebound in minutes at this point. There's a long stretch of time there, and you need to have that kind of energy and that kind of tenacity against Auburn when you're attacking the glass here. Like, Janai Broome is going to try and get to work early and often. That's what Auburn does. They want to get him going, get him moving, and get him involved early and often. And the Florida Gators need to do a couple of really important things with that, right? One, you need to force difficult shots without fouling. You can't force a difficult shot because you fouled them, and now you're shooting free throws anyway, right? Like, you need to force difficult shots without fouling, and then you need to hustle to get these boards. Because when you watch Auburn, you're going to see Janai Broome, of course, is going to be around the rim, going for his rebounds after his shot if he misses. But you're going to see Miles Kelly, Chaney Johnson, Dylan Cardwell, Chad Baker-Mazara, whoever else is also on that court with Janai Broome, except for maybe the smallest guard on the court at the time, they're all going to be going after the glass. So Florida's non-bigs need to be active here as well. Talking about the Maryland game, I loved the way that Will Richard seemingly attacked there. Maryland and Texas Tech, I feel like he's been putting more effort and more emphasis on defensive rebounding. So I would like to see Will Richard continue to do that. And then offensively, because again, I know that we've spent much of this time talking about what Florida allows or doesn't allow on the glass or down low. But offensively, Florida needs to do a couple things where I said this during the Texas Tech game, might have been the Maryland game. But during the last weekend of tournament games, I sent a message to the Subtext, the Insider program, and which, by the way, if you want to join, the links in the description below, or go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnGators. But I said in there, I was like, hey, look, like Walter Clayton Jr. is getting the superstar whistle. Like, he's gotten a couple calls where he probably shouldn't have gotten the call, where I don't believe he got fouled, but he's getting the superstar whistle. And if you're going to get the superstar whistle, you got to take advantage of that. So for Florida, when I say win down low, I don't just mean with your bigs. I mean, Walter Clayton Jr. has to dribble, drive, penetrate, and get down low, get to the free throw line if possible. Like, if you're getting the superstar whistle and you can get the superstar whistle against their superstar in Janai Broome, that's a double up, right? That's extra credit there. So if you can get low, get to the free throw line, or for Florida's bigs or anybody else to crash the boards and get second chance opportunities, like Auburn, one of the better defenses in the country. All 4 of the teams remaining in the Final Four are elite. Again, I can't stress how many times we've talked about this, where I know that people hate that there's no Cinderella, right? There's no 12 seed that's still around. There's no anything like that. But what we are watching is the best of the best of all time playing against each other. We're not just talking about, oh yeah, these are the best 4 teams this year and that's it. No, we're talking about, according to Ken Pom, these are 4 of the top 10 teams of all time in college basketball. Like, yeah, you don't get the Cinderella, but you're getting as much quality as you've ever seen in college basketball. Okay, so they're going to be playing good offense. They're going to be playing good defense. I mean, we've talked about Houston, right? I don't know if their style of play will work against the elite of the elite, but against everybody else, it works. Their offense of just, hey, we're going to be really slow things down, going to get threes, going to crash the boards to get more looks, kill more time, shoot more threes. Like, they're going to take that approach, and it's going to work fine for them. But for Florida in this game, you need to be able to attack what Auburn is doing, right? And Auburn, they're going to play good defense. They're going to attack the boards. You may not want to attack the boards as much as Auburn does, but You need to if you're Florida. That's an important thing there where you need to be able to go out there and attack.
Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you stop just managing your money and you can start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year.
Ohio State stays red hot on the trail.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ohio State is red hot right now on the recruiting trail. The Buckeyes have had 3 offensive linemen verbally commit since Tyler Bowen was hired. Earlier this week, they got a commitment from a 5-star safety. And just a day ago, the Buckeyes picked up a commitment from another safety, this time a top 100 recruit in Simeon Caldwell. And this is what you want this time of year. You want to start off hot. You want to set the right foundation for your recruiting class, get some offensive linemen, get some beef in there, get some talent on both sides of the ball, which is going to be a great way for Ohio State to lure more elite talent to Columbus. Then you're going to add in the fact that they won the Natty last year. That's another recruiting tool that Ohio State has in the bag right now. And if I'm a recruit in the country, I would want to look at Ohio State and think, how can I get an offer if I don't already have one? If I have an offer from Ohio State, I'm thinking, is that the right place for me? Because I say that knowing that Ohio State's not the right place for everybody. I'm not trying to be negative right now early in the show, just trying to be real with you. Ohio State is at the right school for every player. There are players at other schools that are elite that may think Ohio State is a place for them. They get on campus and realize, nah, man, this ain't it. But for Simeon Caldwell, this is the right place for him. Now, it also helps. Not only does Ohio State known for having an elite secondary, his uncle is Tim Walton. So you're having your uncle, who's currently a coach, who also was a former Buckeye player. So you're getting that from 2 different sides, a couple of different eras. And now you're getting that right now with you on the recruiting trail. That is huge for Simeon Caldwell. He is the 9th player to verbally commit to Ohio State. A couple safeties. There are 3 offensive linemen, a tight end, and Corbin Fordham, who is a teammate of Simeon Caldwell. So they'll continue being teammates as both players, as of right now, verbally committed to be Buckeyes in the future. You add in Jacob Weatherspoon, an Ohio kid from Avon, Ohio, is also verbally committed. Then Chris Henry Jr. and Jaden Ricketts are the last 2 guys in the Buckeyes 2026 recruiting class. And when I watch Simeon Caldwell play football, I am looking at a guy that I am kind of shocked. He's only the 95th best recruit via 247 Sports composite rankings. I see a top 75, maybe even a top 50 kid. I know that you have on their site 24/7, he's the 7th best linebacker. But his position on his recruiting database in the site there on that page, he is a safety. Sitting at 6'3", 185 pounds. I think he's more of a safety than a linebacker. But that was something that people were saying maybe about Sonny Styles. Well, he comes in, he's a safety, more of a big body safety. Wait, maybe he's more of a linebacker. And I think that Caldwell's more of a safety at the next level, a strong safety type, or maybe even a hybrid safety where you're playing a little bit of an Isaiah Simmons type of role. I think that might be the best fit for him. Because when he gets to college, he may grow another inch to be 6'4". I could see him playing at 210, maybe 215. That's putting on a lot of mass on a young man that's already pretty sturdy in his own right. But with Nick Mariotti, the way that he's able to figure out the right way to get the player and to be in the best shape that they need to be to play football, I'm going to trust the coaching staff. I'm going to trust the strength and conditioning to make sure they find the right weight for him to be the best player he can be on the football field. But I do think he's going to be a long-term safety. A few things that pop off the film when I watch him play. He can line up all over the field. It doesn't matter if it's the strong safety spot and it's normal depth, or if it's coming up and being in the box and being more at the Mike linebacker role with that depth there, or if he's lined up over the slot or a tight end that's flexed out, just lined up in one-on-one man-to-man coverage there. It doesn't matter. He can line up all over the field, which goes into something the coaches have been preaching during spring practice: versatility, versatility, versatility. Talked about it yesterday on yesterday's show about Matt Guerreri and some of the guys that he says he's seen some versatility from during spring practice. Talk about it with the offensive lineman. The first day of spring practice, what do we find? Austin Serveld, who played guard a year ago on the left side and right side, all of a sudden now he's been playing left tackle. Now, I don't know if he's going to start there week 1 against Texas, but that versatility is big. Every coach wants it. A coach that says they don't want it, it's kind of hard to believe that, but that's their belief. But coaches want players that are versatile. If you're on a basketball team, you want a big man that can pop out and be a stretch 4 or stretch 5. You want a point guard that can be a guy that can orchestrate the offense, but also create his own shot. You want a guy on the wing that's not only a good shooter and can slash and cut, but also a guy that's really good on defense. You want guys that can do multiple things. And Caldwell is that guy. And I don't normally use the word all around or phrase all around safety when looking at players, but I do view him as an all-around safety. A lot of times for safeties, especially at the high school level, they're either great in pass coverage, they might be great in run and stopping the run, they might be great in the box, they might be great in space. There aren't many guys out there that are great in a lot of areas, and you just kind of call them an all-around safety. Growing up, when recruiting services began to gain some traction, the term all-purpose back was one that you would find over there. Rivals was big when I was a kid. Rivals and Scout.com were a couple big ones. And you saw all-purpose back. You saw dual-threat quarterback or pro-style quarterback. You knew the distinction between dual-threat and pro-style. And you knew an all-purpose back, what is it? It's right in the description of the word, all-purpose. I truly believe that Simeon Caldwell is an all-around safety, which adds to why maybe he does put on some weight to play linebacker down the road. I don't think, at least right now, I don't think that's the best option for him. Also, his instincts are off the chart, which might be going to him being an all-around safety. I am big on the instincts of a player, and when I'm watching players play, especially for this show, I'm watching for their instincts before the snap of the ball. Are they helping themselves in the right position for where the ball's going to go after it's snapped before the ball is snapped? And over and over and over, Caldwell is moving. Caldwell is already lining up in the right spot. Caldwell is picking things up quick, fast, and in a hurry and making a move right away. I don't know why this movie just popped into my head, but the Mighty Ducks, Mighty Ducks 1, D2, and D3, make a first move, Conway, or whatever he said. I know it was make a move, Conway, and it was don't wait. Don't wait for the guy with the puck to make a move on you. You make a move on him. You be the aggressor. You impose your own will on that man. And what did you find? Once Conway figured out how to make a move and believed in himself, it worked out to perfection. A lot of guys you want on defense, really every guy you want on defense, you want them to be able to read stuff pre-snap so that post-snap, they're able to make a move, immediately make a move. Or you're making a move before the ball is snapped. So after the ball is snapped, you're right in the right position. That is Simeon Caldwell. He is the 9th player to verbally commit to Ohio State, and he has a mindset similar to Devin Sanchez, not the one where you're going to kind of put yourself at the bottom to prove that you've earned the right to play. But Caldwell made this comment about him and what he'll do to get on the field. Quote, "I'll do whatever it takes to get on the field. I just love the game," end quote. That's the kind of mindset I want players to have. And if I were a coach, I would want all my players on the football team, on the basketball team, or whatever I'm coaching. I want everybody to have that mindset. I'll do whatever it takes to get on the field. I just love the game. I love that mindset, and I love what I see from Simeon Caldwell.